Anxiety is our friend. Anxiety is our friend. It's a friend. It's always our friend. Anxiety, all it is are those quote unquote feel bad chemicals that say we might be in danger. That's it. Why is anxiety our friend? Because it helps us survive. It does not kill us. It does not harm us. And when we get scared of feeling scared, we develop a phobia of anxiety. And that's not good and that's not healthy. That's not what we should do ever, ever. So we don't want to fuss at ourselves because you might feel that way. Make sure the camera's on speaker, please. I mean, close. Make sure it says close. That way people can see over distance. All right, are there any question or comments? I'm going to change gears. It's a very similar theme today, but I'm going to change gears a little bit. Are there any question or comments about anything we've covered so far on anxiety? You know, this week I was counseling someone who told me I could talk about him sometimes. I mean, he told me that. But we talked about how I said something along the lines of what makes you think you're in danger on that issue, that belief. And he goes, "Oh, I don't think so. I wouldn't label it that." And I said, "I'm so glad you said that because I want to bring that up on Sunday. It doesn't matter if you would label it that. It doesn't matter if you would label it that. That is what your brain thinks you are in, danger. Do you understand? It doesn't matter. Oh, no, I don't think of it that way. Good. It doesn't matter. You still have anxiety, and anxiety is the I might be in danger feeling. So when I ask the question, what do you think you're afraid of? Lots of people, I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid. It takes a while to ponder and go, oh, I never would have thought of it that way. But it is based on a fear. Fear is that feeling of I might be in danger. So it takes a while to think, okay, I'm going to go ahead, but nothing else. No other question or comments. Yes, ma'am. Very good. So when you're anxious, sometimes I'm anxious, and if I think about why I'm anxious, if I can pinpoint what it is, then I can help me calm down. That's exactly right. So that's exactly right. So back to my analogy, let's say the first step is you feel anxious and you have no idea why you feel it. That's putting the fire out. Well, how do I calm my physiological responses? Take deep breaths. You might go, I don't know why I'm nervous. Stop. We can take deep breaths. We get, in general, good enough sleep, exercise, and whatever. That sometimes our radar just goes off. We're not exactly sure why. But the next level that's real, to me, more important is the belief system. That's the next level. So one is physiological, one is the mind. The mind says, why am I doing that? What do I think I'm in danger? What's my belief system? And then when you address that issue, then you can have, well, the fire never starts in the first place. So every single time now I hear, say, a phone beep or something, I'm scared. I go, no, it's my phone. Because I believe it's not putting me in danger. Right, but I had to figure out what the cause is. That's right. If, if you have a feeling and don't know what's causing it, you can't get rid of it. You still have to find out what's causing the problem. You can. You don't have to. You really don't have to. I've helped many people and myself too. Sometimes people go, I'm really anxious. And I go, why? They go, I really do not know why. Maybe I woke up first thing in the morning and my dopamine's low. Maybe I don't know what it is. I go, okay. Some people feel so guilty or ashamed or nervous that they can't put their finger on it, as it were. And I go, that doesn't help you either. Now we're getting nervous that you're nervous. And so it's whatever caused it, let's take slow, deep breaths and put ourselves in a relaxed state. Now, it's good if we can figure out what caused it. That's what we ought, if we can do it. But if we can't, we can process it. We can deal with it. But if we can figure it out, that's really good. I mean, I agree. It's really good if we can. Good. Any other questions or comments about that before we move on? Anything else? Yes, ma'am. Good for you. So good for you. So for online, she's saying, like the gentleman I mentioned earlier, I didn't always label things anxiety, but now I realize what it is. That's what it is. And I get scared of chickens. And she told a story of an example of chickens. Fantastic. So you see this chicken coop or whatever it is, you go up there and go, am I in danger? Right, you start deep breathing, ideally, that's right. You're desensitized. You wait a second, back to the beliefs. Am I in danger? What are the chickens? Can they jump over? Probably not. No, I mean, am I going to get in there? Well, I won't get in there right now, but I'm not going to, that's right. So that's the dialogue. Good, that's very good. And I can handle it, you said, that's right. I can handle this, I can stand here. Moreover, not only can I handle it, if I were to be in danger, I would protect myself. Right? I can run. I can run. And we'll get there in a little bit. That's good. Those are things you think through. That's good. Those are very, very good. Very good. Anything else? We'll move on. Anything else? All right. We still have some copies in the back of the Hill Church back there. Okay. So now we're going to do something what I call an excursus, which means it's related, but it's not the exact same topic. This is a way to think about anxiety and many other things in life that would be very beneficial for you, in my opinion. Humbly speak, well, humbly. And my master's degree, where I first learned this changed my life. It did. I mean, many things in life can change your life, but it changed a lot of things about my life. There's a whole system, a therapy system called transactional analysis. We call it the TA for short. Transactional analysis, or TA, was developed by Eric Berne in the 60s. And, uh, and you don't have to agree with everything it says. I don't agree with everything you said, but in general, it's fantastic. It really changed the way I thought about myself, how I communicated with inside of myself, and ideally, of course, I mean, ultimately communicate with other people. I use this all the time in counseling, both in individual therapy and in couples therapy when I work with people, because it's that right, it's that correct. And anyway, so what I want to do is, instead of what I can say, if you want, I can do a study on transactional analysis, but I'm not doing that at this study right now. At this point, I'm talking about one part of it. So that's what I put in your paragraph. Is I'm trying to make this as succinct as possible. That all people experience, I will call it consciousness, in three different, what Freud called ego states or self state. They experience consciousness in three different ego states. An ego state is a pattern of thinking, feeling, and behaving. Now they can behave from their parent ego state, from their child ego state, or in the middle, the adult ego state. Now, if you look on the chart, little picture on the right side of the page, you'll see that functional ego state. So you have CP, NP, that's critical parent and nurturing parent. And then you have the adult, and you have the child, basically. So I'm going to go, so just to read over it, the critical parent is, the parent is our taught concept. It's what we're taught in life. The critical parent tells you what don't do. They're judgmental, they're authoritarian. Every single time you hear a person talk to someone or communicate, Eric Berne called that a transaction. Why I call it transactional analysis. So when I talk to Bonnie, if I said, Bonnie, stand up, in the English, that's the imperatival mood. The imperatival mood, stand, and the verb means do something. It's a commandment. Stand up. Don't do that. Every single time a human being communicates in the imperatival mood, you're a critical parent. Watch out. Don't do that. Brush your teeth. Critical parent, critical parent, critical parent. You shouldn't do that. Don't park there. Don't sit there. Don't do that. Stand up. Sit up. It's critical parent. Nurturing parent is different. They're still a parent, but they're reassuring, caring, encouraging. I'm sorry. They validate you. We can do this together. You'll make it. Let me encourage you. A lot of women in here are nurturing parents. And the adult is the thought. So think, and the adult is open-minded, interest. I like the word curious. My therapist told me that's great. That's a good word. The adult state is curious. The adult ego state, I'm a nerd. So imagine if you know anything about Star Trek, think Data or Spock if you're that old. I'm messing with you. So think just logical. Who? Live long and prosper, brother. That's right. That's right. So think the adult state doesn't feel. The adult ego state just thinks. The adult makes decisions based on rational information. Based on rational information. If I'm hot, I turn the air conditioner on. I'm cold, put on a coat. I'm hungry, time to eat. It's what's the project is due tomorrow. I need to work on it right now. It's data in, data out, data in, decision, data in, data decision. That's the adult ego state. Then the child ego state is our felt. That's where feelings are. And I'll start with a free child on the right. That's the curious. I know that can be. I think the adult is open-minded too. The free child can be curious, like like a kid wants to enjoy everything, spontaneous, energetic, fun-loving. Then there's the rebellious or adapted child. The rebellious child is just defiant. I don't want to do it. Pouts, breaks the rules, goes smokes, goes drinks, does the drugs, goes sleeps around. They're the part that rebels against the rules. Rebellious children love to get around a critical parent because they push all their buttons. And critical parents like rebellious children because they like to tell them what to do. And so it's what we call in transaction analysis. It's you get strokes. It's a way to get your needs met. You want attention. The critical parent feels good about being the boss. The rebellious child likes getting attention from a critical parent. They don't like it, but they like it. That is, it's muddy water. They'd rather have muddy water than no water. The adapted child is the one who does whatever they say they're going to do. They've kind of given up on life. They're passive. They don't have much of a self. But in general, I'm going to stick with the general sense of child state, the parent, adult, and child. Now, I'm not trying to be over histrionic or melodramatic. There's not a day that goes by that I do not think in these categories. I see this and experience it in thinking every conscious second of my life. I see it and feel it at church every time I'm around a human being. I see it at Walmart. I see it at Arby's. I see it on the playground. I see it at the gym. Every time you see anybody act ever, I can very quickly, they're in the adult ego state, child ego state, or parent ego state. If someone gets on my nerves and I start pouting, oh, frustrated, I'm in my child ego state. If I get offended, that hurt my feelings, child ego state. If I'm sad, child ego state. If I feel compelled to tell them what to do, parent ego state. If I'm listening carefully so that I might learn and be rational, adult ego state. All the time. And people who specialize in this, and I've taught this for years and years, you get good at it, and it is so helpful. There are people, I know, I will spend a little bit, if it's okay with that, I'll spend a little time on this because I want this to click a little bit as much as possible. I know many people that have struggled with addictions, alcoholism, drugs, drinking, sex, porn, whatever, and in my line of work, but also just in being a human being. And this is one of the reasons why it's easy it is, praise God. He helps me in many ways. But one of the reasons it's easier for me to have mercy on people is because I don't come at them as a critical parent. I come at them as a person. I know they're doing this from their child state. And almost certainly at some level, they're trying to get needs met from a child ego state. You'll see girls who put up with wretched behavior from guys. I don't know what's wrong. I just always pick the wrong ones. The common denominator is you. You're attracted to a person you're trying to fix or control or get the pleasure. And a guy, every time I go to that girl, she sleeps around. There's something about, the point is I guarantee I can put my finger very quickly on any behavior. Praise God because we have patterns. God didn't drop us off, and all 8 billion of us are randomly different. We have patterns, and that's what therapists can do and go, that's probably why we're doing this. And that's what this stuff helps us do. So I can go on for a long time about that. But the child is the emotional state. I'm reading on the handout. It's the emotional state. The child experiences all the feelings, fear, love, anger, joy, sadness, shame, and so on, including what emotional state? The class is on anxiety. So I even put that as anxiety is the answer. Good, thank you. Some of you are in a child state. You're scared to say the wrong answer. You're scared of being fussed at, aren't you? You get nervous. Thank you, Jen. So you get scared of being fussed at. And now you understand more and more in psychology and therapy, we call this transference. It's when you transfer upon another person a particular emotional or authoritarian role or particular role in life that they may or may not have, but you don't know that. You have transferred upon them someone usually from your childhood. It's called transference. And so you will act out toward them what you think is appropriate and your transference. So for example, most people, no matter where they're from, I've lived in, I think, 11 states, no matter where I've served, no matter what, it doesn't matter. Most people come to any pastor, they transfer upon the pastor a parent. It's usually a father. So if they did not like their father, they won't like me. And I just meet them. Hello, my name's David. If they loved their dad and they felt nurturing and safe around their father, they would immediately find me very safe. They're like, I like him. I just like him. Of course you do, because your child entered the room before you did, and you already thought that guy's going to be safe, no matter what he says. If you find yourself a father figure who was safe and loving and unconditional love, you tend to give them the benefit of the doubt because you know their heart, you might say. Those people give me the benefit of the doubt very quickly. If they've been hurt, burned, whatever from a father figure, the father was distant or judgmental, or they will absolutely assume that's exactly how I am. And I can tell instantly when I get around them. I can tell by their body. I'm going for a long time. I can tell by body language, how much eye contact they keep, how they speak to me. I can tell usually right away they've got daddy issues or don't have daddy issues or mama issues or previous pastor issues. So that happens. I know they're in their child state. So what I don't do is take advantage of that and go, and jump on. I know what's going on. They're either a wounded child, which we'll talk about here in a second, or they're more a reactive child, or they're adapted. I see what's going on. Not everyone does that. That's why I said most people. There are people come to me as an adult, and they just see me as adult ego state, and they're just that way. Some come to me as the parent. I know many people who, in transactional analysis, this is called a script. It's where you stay in a particular ego state most of the time. So if you're in the nurturing parent role most of the time, you're what we call a rescuer. You don't want people to suffer bad feelings, and so you come to the rescue all the time. A lot of females date loser guys because they want to come to the rescue of the guy who's in bad shape. But they're a nurturing parent all the time, probably because their mom was, or that's not what they got when they were a child, and they feel compelled to do that. So my point is, you'll find yourself acting out in such a way, or let's say, um, where is that going? See, I've got so many things in my head. So if you stay in the script all the time, if you're the rebellious child all the time, we call that the black sheep. If you stay in the adult state all the time, we might call that Spock. So there's different roles you stay all the time, and I can tell adult ego states, a lot of times, particularly thinker actually, I can tell because actually, the blah 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 blah. They go on and on and on about incessant logic, and it's just my child goes, I don't care. I know I'm like you. That annoys me now because as soon as I figured out that's what I was doing, I'm annoyed by it. You're not my teacher. And I know many people who mean well. I know people at this church, they mean well, but they can't go 30 seconds without teaching me something. And it's always something I already knew. It's like, tell me about Jesus. But that's my child going, I don't want to hear this. That's my rebellion. I don't want to hear this. I want to hear this. I don't want to hear this. But also because I'm thinking annoys me because you're not my parent. I know some people at this church, not so much here, praise Jesus. Sorry, I'm about to testify. I know only a couple here who are in a constant state of critical parent. If they talk, they're going to criticize. I can tell. I can see them coming a mile away. I can tell by body language, and I'm right every time. There's something that the way they look, I can just, no matter what it says, they're going to say it their way and do it their way, fuss about their way. And so you can just tell right away. So this helps because David likes to judge people. This is nothing about judgment. They might go to hell, heaven. That's up to Jesus. All I'm saying is it helps me know that's what ego state I get into. It also helps me relate to them well. I know how to deal with them better in that moment. So I take that as a place of sensitivity. I'm like, I think they're in this state. Here's a way maybe to help them. They don't need to know that, and they don't know what's going on. I do, and that's part of why I do what I do. That's part of my specialty. So you can learn this stuff even a little bit here and there and start realizing that's what's going on. So you don't judge any of this. For example, I'm a critical parent to my actual children when they need it. I'm in the office of parent. So when I say clean up, go brush your teeth, it's my role to do that because they're my actual children. But none of you are my actual children. And I never think I am. I never think that. In therapy, many times through the years, well, just tell me what to do. No, I won't do that. Now, what state are they in when they say that? The child state. They want me to come to their rescue and be a nurturing parent. I know that's what they want, and they think that's what they need, but they're not the same. It's not what they need. It is what they want, and they're wrong. What they need to do is learn how to start taking responsibility and get out of that child ego state to go to the adult ego state. So I know that's what's going on very quickly, but they don't, and that's fine. But as you learn this about other people and yourself, you start realizing what's going on yourself. Well, my child activates sometimes at work or at home, whatever. I'm like, I'm bored, I'm sick, and I need to take a break. And I used to go like, no, get to work because you're going to get in trouble. You got to go. And I go, no, not anymore. I look at my watch and go, I've been working nonstop for 6 hours. I'm tired. Go get a drink, walk. And I go, okay. So I get up and go walk around. Take 15 minutes. Turn up the music louder. Sing, be silly for a second. So none of these things, none of this chart here, the parent, adult, child, none of these things are bad. None of these things are sick and sinful. It just depends on when they come out. And what healthy people do is not try to squash them, but realize they're there and ultimately make decisions from the adult ego state. The adult needs to make decisions in life for you and me. It doesn't mean no other ego state can do something. It means the adult makes the decisions. There are times in my life I go, man, I really want some Dairy Queen. I'm not a big ice cream guy. Sometimes I want some ice cream. Well, I used to go, nope, calories, blah, blah. Now I get more allergic to dairy. I'm an old man, forget it. I go, no. My child wants some ice cream because I associate that it's fun. It tastes good. I'll be happy. So my adult says, how's your calories today? And I go, I did well. You did. Let's go have some. Sometimes I didn't do well, and I still do it. Nolan. My child goes, But the adult ego state, David, made the decision. When he doesn't, and the child goes off and eats ice cream, guess what the child feels? Guilty. Because the critical parent in my mind goes, you shouldn't have done that, 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 you're big and fat, or whatever. I don't think that, but if it's something like you blew it, you worked out for nothing, that's ridiculous. Now I know that's ridiculous. So my adult goes, no, it's okay. Well, I want to go play. We'll go play. I want to watch a movie and do nothing, and I don't even talk to a dog. Leave me alone. That's fine. I'll put the dogs in their cage and turn a movie on. There are times anyway, I go for a long time. Okay, so I put the table 2 at the bottom of page 5 to show you. Let me finish that paragraph. The child, the feelings of fear, love, anger, joy, sadness, shame, and so on. When we are in the child ego state, we aren't just putting on an act. We are really being children. We think, feel, and see and react as a child. Now, right now, some of you are still resisting that. No, I'm not at all. And you're mistaken. You're just simply mistaken. I hope and pray that one day you see, yes, you are. You are literally, it's called instantaneous regression. You are regressing right then to a child state, like you literally were 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. And sometimes your child will come out in ways where you don't know why, but you want to burst into tears. And your critical parent comes to the rescue and says, shut up, be quiet, suck it up. And your child goes, but I'm sad. I'll talk about that more in a second. The child, you are in a child state. Dancing, being silly, telling jokes. I find myself, I like to be in the child state as often as I can when I'm around other people. So that's why I like to not, here in church work, I've learned a long time ago, I'm not ever fully myself, my sense of humor, because not everyone gets it. And since they transfer from me to their dad, they get hurt and get offended, and I have to have a meeting with them. When you said that was not funny at all. That happens. That's happened so many times now. I'm not really much myself around crowds in that sense anymore. I stopped, and I can get over it and deal with that, but I'm tired of it. So when I'm around people I trust more, then I'm more in my child state. I want to be there because that's fun for me, but also because most of my life I'm my adult ego state. And that also gets tiring, and my child wants to play sometime because I'm always analyzing and problem solving and da-da-da-da. But I am being a child, and I want to be the child sometimes because that's good sometimes to be the child. But the adult decided to let him play. So adjectives strongly associated with particular ego states. Critical parent, nurturing parent. Let's look at critical parents: bossy, demanding, intolerant, nagging, prejudiced, rigid, stern. Now, before you start putting a finger at your spouse or nudging them, for fun, let's think about yourself. These are the voices in your mind that judge you. They say you're not good enough. I just embarrassed myself. I'm so awkward. What would they think if? It's all critical parent all the day long. And I've known many people through the years who have a very powerful, loud, critical parent in their mind 24/7. Every conscious moment, When they are awake, their critical parent makes decisions for them all the time. And so you can see in their body language, everything I do is not good enough and I'm bad enough. And I know everyone sees and thinks the same thing. And they're dominated by a critical parent. That is very sad and unhealthy. And so a lot of times in my work, and these are the people, they don't accept compliments. They don't want to hear being praised. If you say you did a good job, before the good job finishes, the words out of my mouth, they're already shaking their head no. They'll go, thank you so much. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Their critical parent says, do not accept that. You're not good. You're a dirty object. The nurturing parent, gentle, helpful, kind, praising, sympathetic, encouraging, warm. Basically, everybody likes a nurturing parent. Everybody does. That doesn't mean you're supposed to be one all the time. You're not supposed to be a rescuer. But no one likes a critical parent. Everyone likes a nurturing parent. I mean, it's just true. How many people in your life do you like that are judgmental? Raise your hand. Point them out that no one likes them. They like people who are kind and helpful and gentle. You do? Yeah, no, you don't. And there's the adult ego state. Logical, clear thinking, alert, precise, rational. And if you sing your adult all the time against your will, that is, you're just there all the time because that's who you are, you will be very annoying to everybody else. Because they might be in their child state, they might be in a parent state. That is, the point is, you want to make decisions from your adult, but that doesn't mean you have to always be there. But in general, we do want to make decisions from the adult ego state. That's completely healthy and true. That's right. That's right. The free child, adventurous, spontaneous, and to stay with me, yes. Yeah, 3 times. Talk to me. Yes. Parent, adult, child. PAC. It's on the handout there on the right side. Do you see? No, you don't. Okay, yeah. Parent, adult, child. That's right. And it's also on, if you don't have the handout, it's also online. If you go to sermon notes, click the link. Very good. Parent, adult, child. It's supposed to be the case that when you're healthily married, well, inside of a marriage, when you have sex, that's the child ego state. That's the child ego state. Why? Because it's fun and it feels good. That's what children do. But what happens, I do a lot of counseling in this area, that if they married couples hardly have sex ever, I can usually tell instantaneously when I meet them their communication pattern. And the most common dysfunctional communication pattern in marriage by far is critical parent to child. And most of the time, it's the woman who's the critical parent and he's the child, and he's the rebellious child. And they have this dance going on where she tells him what to do, and you're a nag. Well, you're lazy and incompetent. You don't get your job done. You get to work. Well, you just nag me all the time. That's the most common unhealthy, sick dance most communication patterns people have. And guess what? Stay with me. Parents don't want to have sex with children. They don't. And when you were in those roles, you do not like it in bed, because all you're going to do is condemn and judge. And he just wants to play, and she wants to tell you why you shouldn't do that. And stop. Did you do the dishes? You don't help ever. Or I'm just fat and ugly anyway. Why do you want to look at me? Critical parents are critical parents to themselves first. I guarantee it. That's a common one. I'm going a lot here. So the free child is fun, humorous, excited. The adapted child is the awkward, and confused, defensive, dependent, very needy. The child state in general is needy. Now I'm going to pause there just for a second, because, well, I say for a second. If we need to talk about that, we can talk about that. I'm just going to move ahead. Any questions or comments about this in general right now? Anything at all? Oh, good question. She's identified me and my husband. What if we're both critical parents? Give up. No, it's, through the years I've joked, because my wife Elaine, I've taught her this through the years, and now she uses this vocabulary more, not as much as I do, because it's not her world, but every once in a while we'll meet people and I'll say, ooh, I'd love to get so-and-so and so-and-so in a room and see who wins. And she goes, oh, because they're both critical parents. And sometimes critical parents are legit narcissists. Not always, but they can be. So if I were meeting, well, it depends on what the situation. I'm trying to think how many times I've counseled couples who both were critical parents. It might have happened. But if both people are critical parents, then almost certainly I would meet with them if they're open, and I would ask the question, why are you doing this? Now, what they're going to say is, because she's. And I said, that's not what I asked you. I said, why are you doing this? Why do you believe it's your role to tell him or her what to do? I'll ask it one more time. Why do you believe it is your role to tell him? They're going to say, I don't believe that. I'm going to say, yes, you do. For his own good. Because every critical parent's justified. I'm here to be a blessing. I'm here to help you. And they all think that. And they can. I'll say, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But I'll say what you're actually being is a critical parent. I don't ask the question, why is that? I'm still going to say, if someone says for their good, I'm going to say, okay, you still don't answer my question. Why do you believe that you have to do this for him? Those are different questions. They're different. One is to say, well, there's good that I'm doing. That's not why I asked you. I said, why do you do it? Why do you believe you think it's your job? I'll ask it this way to people too. I'll say, do you think at Judgment Day, God will look at you and say, why did you let him do that? What was wrong with you? It was your role to make sure he always picked up his dishes. It was your role to make sure he went to church. It was your role to make sure he led why did you think that? My view is God will not do that. My view is I'm sure he will not look at me and go, why did you let Elaine have a deficiency in her character, hypothetically? He's going to look at me, I got my own issues. So that would be the role. So therefore I don't believe it's my role. I'm not morally responsible for it. And that's why I would challenge that belief. Go ahead. Well, I appreciate your candor. So not only do I think it's for his good, in the long run it'd be good for me too. So that would answer the question. The answer is, why do you believe it's your role? Because I want it to be good for me. Because I'm doing this for myself. I'm using him to improve my life. Then I'm going to say, do you want to keep doing that? Do you want to use him as an instrument? How do I get out of that? Well, that's good. The good question. We start with the beliefs. And that's the hard part for most people is owning that is what I believe. Like deep down, I believe that he is an instrument for my pleasure. Good. If you don't like that, good. Then we work on that and say, okay, well, first off, go back to your journal. Is that what you believe? That is what I believe. With no judgment or condemnation, it's just what I believe. Blah. And that issue is, do I want to keep that belief? Do I really think that person is an instrument? Where in the Bible do I get the idea that, so what's probably happening if I were, hypothetically, if this were you, hypothetically, I would say is probably speaking, either that's learned behavior you learned from a mom or dad who taught you to talk to your spouse that way, and or deep inside you as a child who's trying to be defended because she's afraid she's not getting her needs met. And so since she doesn't feel competent to get her own needs met, she does feel competent to try to control the person in front of her to get her needs met. So I want to encourage her to realize how she can trust herself to get her needs met. You should do it all yourself. Depends on what it is, right? To get legit, what I call legitimate, healthy needs met, they're all on us. All of them. Relationship needs are not all on us. There are a few healthy, legitimate relationship needs like fidelity, trustworthiness, not being abused. And so those are deal breakers. Everything else is on my response. How I feel, what I think, what I believe, what I do, all my response. Well, back to my analogy. Before God Almighty, will he hold me accountable whether they did or what I did? Me. What I believed or what they believed? What I believed. That's what's my responsibility. That's good. There's more there, but we'd have to meet one-on-one. But no, thank you. They're very good, very good. So see, that's another example. Real quick, that's another example is what I would do as usual. I'm serious about this, sisters and brothers. And if you're not a Christian, I'm glad you're here. Friends, we want to go to these kind of situations so let me say this. We want to approach these situations not as the critical parent, but as an adult or a nurturing parent to say, let's figure out why. Does that make sense? Let's figure out why. Let's try to have grace first and figure out what's going on. Instead of what? Sinner? Let's figure out what's going on. Because there's no growth when someone feels condemned. It won't happen. And I found in my experience, really, most of the time outside of real genuine psychopaths or sociopaths, they already feel guilty. They don't need help from me. One. Two, it's not my responsibility. I'm not here to make sure you feel guilty. I'm here to help. I know I shouldn't. You're right. So what do we do about it? They assume I'm going to beat them up too. That same thing with yourself. I would always try to do your best to give yourself grace when you're reflecting on, why do I do that? It's going to help you heal. It really will help you. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I kept thinking about. Can a critical parent become a nurturing parent? Yes, ma'am. So any person in this room, any literal grown-up, they're supposed to be ideally switching between these ego states all the time. If you stay in one role most of the time, that's a script. So the answer is sure. I tell my kids, clean up your room, critical parent. I love you. I'm so proud of your good grades, nurturing parent. Ideally, you're both of them. You might have a dominant. Yeah. Ideally, healthy people are dominant in their adult. And everything else is below the adult state, as it were, and by how much they come out. The adult's the gatekeeper. Is this the appropriate time to encourage that person? The adult decides. The nurturing parent says, yes, I got to say it. The adult goes, is this the right time? I got to tell them what to do. The adult goes, do you though? Are they in danger or is this your role? The adult decides before the words come out or the text goes out or the email goes out. But I want to play. Do you though? Is this the right time? If it is, great, let's go do it. The adult's the ego state, the gatekeeper, ideally. Yeah, we alternate all the time. I have fussed at my kids, and the next word on purpose, like blah, 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 and the next thing comes to validate them. I love you, I'm so proud of you, but do better next time. But I'm so proud of you. I mean, I'm nurturing critical. And I know I'm doing it. It's on purpose. They don't like the critical part. The other day, I was kind of fussed at Hayden about something like, baby, I'm telling you, because we've had these conversations many times about video games or something. And he came back later on, a few hours later. I could tell right away he gets, he's in his child ego state. And I'm sorry that he's sad. I'm not sorry that what I said was true, because it is true. He comes back about an hour or two later and goes, Dad, I don't like it when you fuss at me. I said, no, you don't. I'm sorry, but I understand that. But what I said was true, and that was X, Y, Z. So what do you do when the other person's a critical parent?
Right. And they're telling
And they're telling you what to do.
but then you kind of set them
you set them straight. And they get defensive. Yeah, so what typically happens then is, so whenever a person, a critical parent, say for example, a critical parent says, this happens so much. Sorry, I'm trying to tell examples. Uh, you don't need a blah, blah, blah. Okay. When someone goes da, 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 your child will hear that and either respond by running off in passivity or rebellious, forget you, I don't care, and I'll do what I want to do, or feel sad or angry and whatever. That will be the instantaneous, little bit emotional response you're going to have. But what you want to do is not let the child make a decision at that moment. Do not respond to the parent as a parent. You respond to the parent as an adult. You pretend that you're both adults in the situation. You need to get that report done sooner, Bob, Jody. So you might go, well, versus, you can tell me what to do. That's the rebellious child. Versus, well, I'll do it on the schedule that's best for my schedule. I'm just responding like an adult. Critical parents who stay in that script, they don't like that answer. They only want to hear from a child. And the only child they want to hear from is the adaptive, the one who goes, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Why? Because they feel very anxious. If they're not a critical parent, then who am I? What is my role in life? If I'm not here to fuss you and tell you how to make your life better, I don't know who I am anymore. And their child starts going deep inside. They're scared, going, I don't know who I am anymore. Be quiet. We can't let them know that. Get to work. So the point is, we don't want to put our critical parent in place because that means you're fussing at them. Now you have two critical parents trying to treat each other like a child. And I would encourage you, do not do that. Especially as soon as you know what's going on. As soon as you know what's going on, you say, I'm not doing that. That's what he or she's doing in front of me now, but no, I won't let myself get that upset because my child, yeah, I get it, but I won't let that hurt my feelings. They're just being this way, and I'm not going to fuss at them. It's okay to say as an adult, I appreciate it, but why don't you try again because you might not have meant to, but that came across as very unchristlike and mean. So do you want to try one more time? Or, I've said this many times in my life, you might not mean to, but it comes across as very parental, and I'm not your child. You want to try that again? I've done that many times. You want to try one more time? No? Okay, well, if we can't do this in a different way, treat me like an adult, let's try another time maybe when you're calmer. Okay, thank you. God bless you. Anything else? Because I won't be spoken to like I'm a dumb child when I'm not a dumb child. That's their need, not mine.